Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd just like to say thanks for everyone who has watched the two short films I've made recently, and just the amount of support that I've gotten from these two short films has meant the world to me. I did not expect either of these two to get as much traction as they did, and I'm incredibly grateful. So, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your support. So, I made a short film called The Stairs. This was kind of inspired by the whole backrooms, liminal space type of concept, but I wanted to put my own stamp on it and make it my own, more just loosely inspired by it with some visual connections, such as the yellow and or green lighting that is often seen in a lot of liminal space photography. This project was actually for a class, so I had to do all sorts of different preparation that wasn't like my first short film, This Is Not a Test. For This Is Not a Test, I filmed that in a weekend just for fun, no script, barely any preparation, but with this, I actually had a lot more that I had to do in order to get it to where it was. I first started with a basic outline of the script as well as an outline of my concept that I was going for and how I would execute it, and then after that, I wrote a screenplay and made a whole entire production binder as well with a really crappy cover, but hey, none of this is professional or anything, so it works. After that, I did some very general storyboarding. Now, storyboarding isn't something that I've done too much in the past, but for this, I knew I wasn't doing anything too complex, and most of the shots I had planned out in my head, so I knew that with the storyboards, I could do some very general outlines of what I wanted, and I ended up not storyboarding all of the project. Now, if you haven't watched the short film yet, I recommend you do that before continuing this video because I'm about to get into spoiler territory. So, at the end of the short film, it's revealed that the twist is that there's some sort of time loop going on in this stairwell. Originally, that was not in the script at all. In the script, it was actually going to be two completely separate people that were trapped in this stairwell. It would start with the first person waking up in the stairwell and then eventually coming across another person who has been stuck in the stairwell longer, which would lead to a bit of exposition, which looking back on it was very forced, and then it had a pretty unsatisfying ending in retrospect. Now, the reason why there is a time loop is because of complications and conflicts when it came time to filming. Due to scheduling conflicts, I had to adjust some things around, and I couldn't get the people I wanted originally to be in the short film, so I ended up having to star in it, which always makes me cringe and never makes me happy with the final result. I ended up playing both of the roles and combining them into one role and just making it have the time loop twist to it, which I think made it a lot better. It made it feel like it had more of a point that it was leading to throughout the short film, and I think thematically there's more connective tissue due to the whole time loop idea. For most of the shots when there are two of me in one frame, I basically just did a very, very simple effect, which is the split screen effect. You can do this just about on any editing software. It's very simple, very basic. And for some of the shots, I even added handheld movement in post to make it look a little more believable. One thing to take into account if you're gonna do this type of effect is lighting and shadows cast, because anytime a shadow is cast, you're going to have to mask around that as well, so you've got to line it up perfectly and make sure shadows don't cross, and if they do, you got a whole lot of masking and keyframing. I also implemented the technique of hiding some cuts in some whip pans to make it look like it's one continuous shot, like when it turns from one version of me to the second version of me, as well as when it's a POV shot from my perspective looking at the doors that lead to different floors, but each floor is labeled 2. For the shots of the endless stairwell, I basically just did some simple masking and duplicating techniques, which surprisingly worked better than I thought. I actually showed some people this short film, and a few of them thought the staircase was actually real and were questioning where I filmed that and how I got a location that had a staircase that long. And then I told them it was completely edited in post. The music in the short film that I used was made by REPULSIVE, Vivek Abhishek, and White Bat Audio, all of which are absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend checking out their channels. They got great music. Overall, I'm not 100% proud of this short film. I usually look back at a lot of my stuff and cringe, but I'd say this is one of the better things I've made, along with This Is Not a Test. I think This Is Not a Test is far superior in visuals, editing, and execution overall, but The Stairs was fun to shoot and fun to edit, and I had a great time.